air conditioning, be it in museums, shops, restaurants, is not nearly as strong as in the United States. A lot of times I would be at the store or at the restaurant and I would hear Americans walking in from the brutal heat and humidity of the day, hoping to finally get some nice relief at the restaurant or a store or a museum. And then I hear them whispering and saying, "Oh my goodness, is the aircon even on?" Fabulous people, welcome to the podcast for all the babes who create their own life trends. My name is Anastasia, and this podcast is all about inspiring you to relentlessly pursue your biggest dreams and live your most authentic, abundant life. Every single summer, I escape Rome. And no, not because I don't love it. You guys know I love Rome. It is my home. But summer in big cities in Italy is a very different experience. By July, places like Rome, Florence, and even parts of the Amalfi Coast can become overwhelming. The heat is intense, the crowds are everywhere, and that Italian charm everyone dreams about, sometimes it gets buried under the chaos. That's why I personally retreat to the lesser known parts of Italy or Greece. But let me be clear on one thing. I am not here to talk you out of visiting Italy in July or August. If summer is the only time you can travel, there are definitely ways to make it work. And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to travel Italy in summer the right way. But first, I want to share with you why I personally prefer lesser known parts of Italy or Greece in the summer. As you guys can probably tell by the ambience, I'm currently in Ios, Greece, lesser known Greek island, even though it is only 35 minutes ferry ride away from its sister Santorini. But it honestly feels like a world away. Number one, there are literally no crowds on lesser known islands. It's mainly just you, locals, and a few tourists who also found out about this hidden gem. But if you're not traveling to Mykonos or Santorini, you can truly have this incredible local experience with zero crowds, stunning views, secluded beaches, incredible local cuisine to the point that you never even have to go on Google reviews and try to figure out is this is a tourist trap or not. As a matter of fact, you really need to try to end up in tourist trap on a lesser known island. It's just such an incredible, beautiful, local, relaxing, joyful experience when you're traveling to lesser known parts of Italy or Greece. Another thing that I absolutely love about specifically Greek islands because I'm here. So, of course, I'm very, very inspired to talk to you specifically about Greece right now. Is that there is this nice gentle breeze constantly going through your apartment or through your villa or through your hotel. It's just so refreshing, be it in July or August, to open your windows without even turning on your AC and just enjoy this beautiful, nice, gentle breeze. Of course, on some Greek islands, you feel it more than the others, but a lot of times, even in July and August, I don't turn air conditioning in Greece. I just open the windows, even at night, and I just let this gentle breeze come in and refresh me. It is incredible. I love Greek islands so much for that. Another thing that I absolutely love about lesser known parts of Italy or Greece is because you don't have to constantly try to figure out how to avoid tourist traps. And you don't have to feel pressured like someone is trying to push something on you, someone is trying to sell something to you. In those lesser known parts of the countries, you really feel like you're getting this local, authentic experience. And it's just such a beautiful feeling because you can really let your guard down, relax, and just enjoy. And just in general, I love the hidden gems and the island vibe. It's quiet, stunning, and gives you space to actually breathe, slow down, and enjoy summer the way it's meant to be. And I get it. Places like Rome, Florence, Amalfi Coast, Venice are stunning, iconic, and for so many people, it's a trip they've been dreaming about for years. But here's the thing. When people plan their trips on their own without really understanding how Italy works in July or August, a lot of times they end up feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and honestly disappointed. They come in with this romantic vision of Italy in summer and assume that August will feel like the Italy they've seen on Instagram. So, let me share with you some important things most people are not prepared for. Yet, those are the things that you absolutely need to know before you travel to Italy. Number one, and it might sound obvious, but it is underestimating the heat. And wait, before you say, Anastasia, I'm used to heat. I'm from Texas or I'm from Florida. I get it. Heat is not an issue. Let me tell you, heat in Italy hits differently, especially in places like Rome, Venice, Florence. It is absolutely brutal. First of all, these are stone heavy cities that trap heat all day long. And when you're walking on cobblestones in 100 plus Fahrenheit with little shade, it's not exactly the romantic dolce vita most people imagine. Plus, you will be walking for 6 to 8 hours under the sun, up and down the stairs, up and down the hills, exploring Roman Forum in Rome, or standing in line for hours waiting on your ferry from Positano or Sorrento to go to Capri. A lot of people don't understand how much time you will actually be spending outside with little shade under the brutal sun with just insane humidity. And the worst part of it all, it's a nightmare for most people from the States, is that air conditioning, be it in museums, shops, restaurants, is not nearly as strong as in the United States. A lot of times I would be at the store or at the restaurant and I would hear Americans walking in from the brutal heat and humidity of the day, hoping to finally get some nice relief at the restaurant or a store or a museum. And then I hear them whispering and saying, "Oh my goodness, is the aircon even on?" Because in Italy, they don't crank it up as high as we do it in the United States. That's why when my travel agency plans trips to Italy for clients in July or August, we put a huge emphasis on accommodations with excellent air conditioning. Because unfortunately, even during the evenings or the night, you just can't catch a break in cities like Rome, Florence, or Venice. As most of you know, I live in Rome, and I know a lot of you will not relate to this, or most of you will not relate to this, but I personally do not like sleeping with aircon. But if I just try sleeping without it and open the windows of my apartment and wait for any kind of breeze to come in, even in the middle of the night, I know I'm destined to sweat, to be soaked in sweat by the time I wake up if I manage to get any sleep. Because unfortunately, in cities like Rome, there is no break from that heat even during the night. And then there are crowds. Places like Venice, Cinque Terre, Amalfi Coast are flooded with people. And I don't just mean busy. I'm talking about shoulder to shoulder under the sun for everything. For ferries from Positano to Capri, for buses along the Amalfi Coast, or for trains to travel between the villages in Cinque Terre. It's hot, it's hectic, and it is definitely not the experience you came to Italy for. Just a few days ago, I was sitting in the cafe in Ios enjoying a nice lunch, and the lady right next to me offered me sardines because she couldn't finish them. We started chatting, and she shared with me that she was traveling from the US across Italy and Greece. And she said, "Oh my, I just left Positano and it was a zoo. There were crowds everywhere. It was the worst experience. And it is definitely not this dreamy Positano that I saw on social media." She was very disappointed because this was a trip of her lifetime. And what can I say? I just sighed because this is something I talk about all the time in so many of my YouTube videos and this podcast. And yet, so many people travel to these places during the peak season thinking that somehow their experience is going to be different. And I want to add to that. She traveled to Positano at the beginning of June. Now imagine July or August there. That's all I'm going to say about this. Now, public transportation also becomes a real issue. You're more likely to run into delayed trains, random train strikes, or taxi shortages, especially in big cities or during major events. When I was leaving Rome at the end of May, there was already a shortage of taxis in the city. I see so many people standing in lines at the taxi stand early mornings with their luggages, and you can tell they're either going, of course, to the airport or to the train station, and they have either a plane or a train to catch, and waiting for the taxi to arrive. And then you see taxi arriving every 30, 40 minutes. I mean, imagine the stress. I even made a quick video on this topic and shared with people what would be an alternative to taking a taxi if they haven't booked a private transfer or their travel agency haven't booked a transfer to the airport or to the train station for them. But it is so important to keep this in mind if you plan on traveling to Italy in July and August. We do have a huge issue with shortage of transportation, especially taxis. And if you decide to go the Uber route, you can certainly do that. But you have to remember that, for example, in Rome, there is only Uber Black. So a taxi ride that would cost you 60 euros with Uber during peak season, it would cost you 180, if not more. And of course, trains in July and especially August are almost always destined to have either a technical issue due to the heat waves, a strike, or limited capacity. I will never forget the most stressful train situation I've ever been in a few years ago. I was traveling on a regional train in Sicily from one town to another. And out of sudden, the train just stops. Everyone kind of looked at each other like, oh, trains in Italy in the middle of August, things happen. But we just stood there for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes without any announcement, without any direction. No one knew what is happening. And then the conductor walks into our wagon and says, "Okay, the train is not going anywhere. You have to disembark the train. But You see that train right there, a few tracks away? That train is about to depart, but it is going in the same direction as you guys are. So if you manage to hop on that train, you will get to your destination today. Guys, the chaos that started happening inside the wagon is impossible to describe with words. I want to say I wish you could see it, but I don't wish this upon you guys. I don't wish for you to ever find yourself in this situation. People started grabbing their suitcases, pushing each other, running through the tracks just to hop on that train because that was their only hope to get to their destination. When I finally got on that train, all sweaty, stressed, red as a tomato, I said, oh, this is just not for me. This kind of traveling on regional trains in the middle of August in Italy, it's just not for me. August is honestly one of the worst months to travel to Italy. Not only you have to deal with brutal heat waves, but also many family-run restaurants, local boutiques, and small businesses shut down, especially around mid-August for Ferragosto, one of Italy's biggest national holidays. So if you're looking for a local experience in big cities, it's not going to happen because majority of locals are gone. But of course, there are so many ways to make Italy in summer work, and we do it all the time for the clients of my travel agency. So I'm going to share with you right now some very important and practical tips that I promise will make all the difference when you travel Italy in the summer. First of all, if your goal is to avoid the crowds and heat, I would focus on lesser known but equally stunning and unique regions in Italy, like Umbria, Puglia, Calabria, Sardinia, etc. These are still places that are considered hidden gems in Italy, with some of the most stunning, untouched beaches, so many hidden gems to discover, and the most incredible regional food. Trust me, if you discover one of those regions, you will never want to leave. And what a lot of people from the US still don't know is that, for example, beaches in Sardinia are described as the Maldives of Europe. And in fact, a lot of Europeans prefer to go to Sardinia for their vacation. And yet, so many people from the US go to the Amalfi Coast or Cinque Terre, simply because they don't know much about those lesser known regions, like I said, Puglia, which is becoming now slowly quite popular, Sardinia, Calabria. So they just go to the places that they constantly see online or the travel agencies from the US send them to. But if you do your own research or work with a local travel agency that actually knows this lesser known hidden gems, trust me, just trust me on this one, your experience will be completely different. Number 2, and those of you who don't like waking up early might not appreciate this advice, but I strongly recommend to do tours that are done outside, like Roman Forum, Colosseum, Pompeii, early in the morning. And then during the day, you can explore museums, different parks like Villa Borghese in Rome, for example. And I cannot tell you how refreshing it feels in those parks. It's incredible how the temperature just drops, the humidity disappears, and it's just such a nice break. You can grab paninis, a nice bottle of Italian wine, and organize for yourself the most beautiful romantic or family picnic in the park. Or you can always just take a nap during the hottest part of the day and then continue exploring during the evening. If you can, definitely book private transfers, especially when regional trains are involved, and skip the line tours, fabulous people, all the way. Just one thing to mention here, make sure those tours really offer skip the line experience and you're booking them on reliable websites, because I cannot tell you how often I hear those stories of people booking their tours or activities through third-party websites, and then unfortunately they get canceled the last moment. It happens very, very often. And of course, the same goes for accommodations. Make sure that you're doing a proper, thorough, deep research, reading tons of reviews, and selecting the best properties with excellent air conditioning, especially during the months of July and August. I cannot stress enough the importance of selecting the proper accommodation. And finally, use an expert travel planner who really knows how to organize your trip around the crowds, not through them. At My Fabulous Vita travel agency, we craft unforgettable bespoke trips to Italy and Greece, even in peak season. We know how to design your itinerary to avoid the worst of the heat and crowds, while still capturing the beauty and spirit of each destination. From handpicked boutique accommodations and expertly guided tours with skip the line access to seamless transfers and on the ground support throughout your entire trip, we handle every detail so you can travel with ease while we take care of the rest. And as my final words of wisdom, I get it. For so many people, July or August is the only time they have to travel, and Italy is a dream they waited years to experience. The truth is, Italy in summer doesn't have to be a disaster, but it absolutely has to be designed. Where you go, how long you stay, and what you plan around makes all the difference during peak season. And if you're just as passionate as I am about exploring this incredible world together, don't just listen, join me. Make sure to smack that subscribe button for more Stay Fabulous series, whether you are listening or watching on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Let's explore this incredible world together, one unforgettable story at a time. This is Anastasia signing off from Greece. I cannot wait to talk to you in my next episode. Until then, and always, stay fabulous.